The political scene is witnessing a deluge of activities after months of relative inactivity due to the nation's lockdown directives. Two states get ready for the gubernatorial polls, with candidates devising the best ways to reach the electorate, as public gatherings and rallies are no longer advised due to COVID-19 realities. The executive and the legislature parley this week to ensure better understanding in piloting the ship of state. Also on Political Update today, we examine the low-hanging fruits of the post-COVID-19 lockdown with tips that could help boost the nation's socio-economic well-being. I am Fisayo Ogunfuyi. Welcome. Issues affecting Nigeria's development aspirations were analyzed as President Muhammadu Buhari received presiding officers of the National Assembly. Let's hear from State House correspondent Adamu Sambo.
The coronavirus pandemic notwithstanding, it has been continuous engagement between President Muhammadu Buhari, Senate President Ahmed Lawan, and Speaker Femi Bajabiamila. The latest, which lasted more than 1 hour behind closed doors, was to compare notes on the state of the nation in furtherance of their genuine commitment towards achieving a greater Nigeria, as explained by Senate President Ahmed Lawan.
I imagine that at the end of the day, the trajectory of ensuring a very good and purposeful operational way of doing things between the two arms will continue. Mr. President has always respected the legislature. He has always commended the National Assembly members for always been there to ensure that the requests by the executive in the national interest are processed, and we are sure that every member of the National Assembly has always been there to ensure that we do the right thing for this country, and Mr. President is in full support of our position that this relationship must be sustained at all times for the benefit of the people of Nigeria.
Senate President Ahmed Lawan could not, however, confirm whether or not the raging controversy between the executive and the legislature over the planned recruitment of 774,000 job seekers by the federal government was discussed at the meeting.
If you are an appointee of the president, you are supposed to be reflective of the attitude of the president towards the National Assembly. And the National Assembly will continue to work with Mr. President, but the National Assembly will take exception to any attitude or disposition that is not in support of the harmony in the relationship between the two arms of government.
He said the 9th National Assembly is committed to sustaining the existing cordiality with the executive in the best interests of Nigeria.
Stakeholders in the All Progressives Congress have continued to drum support for direct primary as demanded by 11 aspirants in the Ondo APC governorship primary. The coalition of APC support groups at the end of its meeting at the party's national secretariat says direct primary will provide a level playing ground for the contestants.
Any problem for this party? We have toiled day and night to build a party. We have worked so hard. We are stakeholders. We are concerned about now and the future of the party. And even the individuals contesting, we are concerned. And that is why we are here today. The coalition of APC support groups in Nigeria, we are saying that we must avoid the pitfalls of the past by adopting the constitutional majority decision that favors direct primaries in the forthcoming Ondo State governorship primary.
Meanwhile, the APC campaign train is gathering momentum in Edo State with the inauguration of the campaign council for the Edo 2020 gubernatorial election.
As part of its campaign drive, the APC constituted 9 committees for Edo South Senatorial District Campaign Council, mobilizing members to navigate the wards, units, and communities. The Director General of the Edo South Senatorial District Campaign Council, Samson Osagi, while inaugurating the committees, urged members to hit the ground running.
We are convinced that by shared understanding, collaboration, cooperation, among all our peoples, particularly members of the APC, this task is already achieved.
I have just been inaugurated as the chairman of the NGO committee, and for me, it's a lifetime opportunity. I usher in Edo to the threshold of a new beginning with a new governor.
Yamu needs no defense. He remains a force impossible to ignore in Edo state politics.
The committees are media and publicity, women mobilization, youth mobilization, security, finance, special duties, NGOs and associations, ethnic nationalities, traditional institution and religious affairs. Meanwhile, the APC also inaugurated 10 subcommittees of the Edo State Media Campaign Council, with John Mayaki serving as the chairman. The subcommittees include outdoor advert and campaign, creative content and strategic development, media production and representation, online reputation management and production.
The council has a lot of members who no doubt possess the requisite professional competence, grassroots joie de vivre, to be able to push this agenda from a terminus ad quo to a terminus ad quo.
The committee members are capable members that will assist us, that will assist Pastor Osage Zeyamu to delivering on the task of simple agenda and making sure that all the promises we have assured the people will come to fruition.
Those who serve as media consultants are Joseph Omorochoan and Godwin Erao.
Trust Patrick Obaya want to put in some color there. Also, we're hearing that the PDP is also strategizing as we speak. So if the report comes in during the program, we'll take it. If not, we'll take it in our subsequent programs. Now, many believe that there should be a new thinking by the nation's political elite in terms of strengthening the nation's democracy and service, selfless service, focused on poverty alleviation, job creation, and ensuring domestic competence in different sectors of the nation's economy would be a good start in all tiers of government. We are being joined today by an engineer, a politician, a development canvasser, rolled in one, Chief Martin Onovo, a petroleum engineer, engineering, economics, and management consultant. He was a presidential candidate of the NCP in 2015 and is now the head policy positions movement for fundamental change. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Quite a long CV there.
Yeah, it's been.
Talking about, before we go into, the discourse, talking about the NCP, it's been deregistered. What is the status at the moment? Are you trying to do some collaboration with other political parties to come back strong, or what is happening?
Well, first is that I don't speak for the NCP. Second is that the NCP has gone to court, and we have to test the matter judicially. Personal opinion is that I think that the deregistration is unfair, and it is inconsistent with national development imperatives.
All right, let's move into our discourse. We've had a lockdown for the better part of 2 months, and now the economy is reopening, gradually. As an economics and, development expert, what are the low-hanging fruits we should begin to leverage upon so that the economy bounces back speedily?
Well, critically, what we will have to do is not different from what fundamental economics says we should do. If you apply appropriately fundamental economics to the Nigerian situation, the most fundamental concept about economic development is productivity. And that is what you measure in GDP. So, if you want to become a prosperous country, you must be very productive. Let us use China as an example. You go to the US, you buy a t-shirt, you see it's made in China. You come to Nigeria, you buy a t-shirt, you see it's made in China. That is productivity. Now, you don't become productive by being wishful. When I ran in 2015, I had one sentence that we used to define our economic agenda. We said we want to fuel the economy. We said we wanted to power the economy. We said we wanted to diversify the economy. That will not change. That is what we need to do. We need to fuel this economy because energy is at the foundation of economic prosperity. We said we had to power this economy. Everybody uses power, including NTA. Everybody. Baba. You need power to be productive. And we said you need to diversify this economy. You cannot continue with this monocultural economic perspective that, okay, we will get revenue from oil. We will spend it on importing other things. The clothes we wear, the shoes we wear, the pencils, the rulers that our children use. And even before you start talking about those ones, the fundamental one that God has given us, we have crude oil. We are top 10 in the world. And we have 4 refineries. But we import petroleum products. So you must understand that the dysfunctionality, economic dysfunctionality in Nigeria is systemic. You can't use any superficial approaches. You can't. We need to deal with the fundamentals that are wrong.
All right, let's look at, you have espoused this not just now, in different public fora. When you talk to fellow politicians, do you get a buy-in? Or is this just a case of arguments or concepts without actuality?
No, there is a universal buy-in. What do I mean by universal buy-in? You're always going to have a minority that is either incompetent or ignorant. But there is a universal buy-in. Because if you look at the ruling party, for example, I have a copy of their 2015 manifesto. Part of what I have said was there. Fixing the refineries was there. I have a copy. So it has universal. But we all know what is right. Everyone knows that thou shalt not steal. But still, people steal. It doesn't mean that thou shalt not steal is wrong. It doesn't mean they do not know. So that's the point. And that is where integrity is foundational. Integrity is foundational. So every politician knows what is right. Every politician knows we need good roads. Everybody knows good water. Housing needs to be improved. Security needs to be excellent. Corruption needs to be either completely eradicated or mitigated. Everybody knows that.
Now you speak with so much passion. Now,
definitely.
This movement for fundamental change, exactly what is it? Is it to perhaps fire this passion and galvanize some movement towards what you have described as fundamental change?
Well, the first thing is that the movement of fundamental change is made up of so many CSOs. It's like an umbrella. And we had seen that working in small groups may be less effective. So that was canvassed. And some group has agreed that, okay, there needs to be, without losing their identities, there needs to be some form of coordination and working together. And the key thing about the movement for fundamental change is that word fundamental. Every society is built on its value system. A society that has a dysfunctional value system will definitely remain dysfunctional. And I do not think that anybody will agree if you say that Nigeria is not dysfunctional. Because the indices are public. Nigerians know, foreigners know. For example, corruption perception index. We're high up there. Third most terrorized country in the world. Insecurity, we're high up there. So we know that this thing is dysfunctional.
So are you providing the how as
yes.
Against the what?
Oh, yes. First is that you have to agree on the what before you provide the how. You have to agree on the what. So we're doing that both as movement for fundamental change, and all of us don't belong to the same political party. And also, those of us who are politicians, as politicians, and those who are just members of their own particular CSOs, they're also pushing this agenda. So it's very clear. For example, the ruling party has anti-corruption as one of its core programs. So why are you saying do we have buy-in? Everybody agrees. So how? We published how. I personally also published it because the presidential debate I was asked, how do you intend to fight corruption? You agreed that corruption is... So it's not about publishing it and publishing it. It's about having the political power to implement it. And if you already have the political power, it's about having the political will. That's what it is.
All right, let's take a little pause there. I'll take one or two stories. We'll come back and look at concepts in terms of our immediate future and how to go about it. Let's take this one. The National Youth Council of Nigeria has commended President Muhammadu Buhari for remaining steadfast in the fight against corruption. Let's hear from them.
Making it very clear that when you are caught in your evil, fiendish act, which is antithetical to the progress of the Nigerian nation and to the good of the masses, do not begin to play the ostrich and hide behind the finger and try to mudsling or twist or blackmail the government to drop the fight against corruption. We are urging Mr. President and all his ministers who are keeping faith with what is right that they should not relent. There have been pungent negativities of corruption perpetrated over time. But we are calling on Mr. President, keep dealing with whoever is found culpable.
I was going to ask you about the issue of, we've spoken about corruption just as the NYCN said there, but talking about getting, active and engaged the Nigerian massive youth population. What would be perhaps your own concept in this direction?
Well, it's very simple. It was it was captured in our 4E strategy against corruption. And the first thing about the 4E strategy is enlightenment. Fisayo, Martin, we all need to agree and understand that this corruption benefits nobody, not even the corrupt. In this country, there is a published report that a former minister of works had an accident on a federal road and died. If he had fixed that federal road, maybe he would not have had that accident. What do I mean? The consequences of corruption are not just with me. So don't look at me as the only one who wants to fight corruption. I'm saying everybody wants to fight corruption. Because we all suffer the consequences of corruption. If tomorrow you're sick and you go to buy a drug and it's fake, corruption has caused fake drugs. And you can either die from it or get further impaired with your health. So enlightenment is critical. That was the first E. So we have published this thing even before I ran for election. We published at the election. The question is that the political leadership must take responsibility. Forget about excuses and achieve results. So when you talk about enlightenment, we talked about empowerment. Because sometimes you see that the wages we pay our civil servants can't get them home. And don't forget that the Constitution requires a living wage. But you all agree that our politicians have outrageous compensation. When I ran in 2015, I said I was going to minimize the maximum wage and increase the minimum wage without increasing the wage bill. That is what we plan to do. So it's not about do you know what you're going to do. It's been published and published and published. Now, the leadership has the responsibility to take the best ideas and to pursue them in a most patriotic manner so that we have the results that other countries have. Good results. It is because of corruption that we don't have power. Because I'm sure you were old enough when the power probe was conducted in this country. So it's the same thing. Nobody's enjoying the absence of power. So if the enlightenment is adequate, everybody will understand that even if I am corrupt and I have some corruption money in my pocket, I have not benefited, others have not benefited.
Well,
so,
probably buy a gen.
Oh, yes, you're right now. I also bought one. But that's not the solution.
Let's quickly take this before we go. Nigeria's Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala says if elected Director General of the World Trade Organization, WTO, she will ensure that the United States remains in the fold of the global trade body. The Nigerian renowned financial technocrat highlighted steps that will help the WTO regain its vibrancy and relevance in the 21st century. Haman Jabani monitored Iweala's media conference where she shared her vision.
8 candidates have been nominated by their respective governments for the post of WTO Director General. They are Jocelyn to succeed incumbent Director General Roberto Avizendo, who has announced he will step down on 31st August 2020. Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is among the 3 Africans seeking to hold the position.
Anyone you like.
She spoke on issues ranging from trade implication of COVID-19, challenges of micro and small and medium enterprises, e-commerce, and fostering relationships among member countries. She said that trade is important for the 21st century. It is important for prosperity. It is important for resilience. It is important for sustainable growth. And the WTO is at the right heart of this. Therefore, we want to rejuvenate and reform the WTO to be the organization that it needs to be for the 21st century.
I'm qualified to lead, and I have all the attributes. WTO needs leadership, and it needs someone able to bring a bundle of qualities: political ability, an ability to reach decision makers, international contacts, I have that, managerial capabilities from my long years in a multilateral organization like the World Bank, the ability to forge consensus and to negotiate. A reformer. I have a reputation established as a strong reformer, both at the World Bank and also in my country. So I'm a doer. You know, I'm solutions-oriented and pragmatic. So I bring together the bundle of qualities and the leadership acumen that you need to lead this. So I would hope that if selected from the African continent, it should be me.
Analysts believe that the organization needs to regain credibility at a time when international trade is not a priority of many economies. The World Trade Organization, WTO, established in 1995, is the only global international organization dealing with the rules of trade between nations.
Surely our CV is not in doubt.
Oh, clearly. Oh, clearly. She's brilliant. She has the experience she's talking about. It's diverse. It's very broad. And she has also the educational background. I mean, urban and regional planning, developmental economics at the doctorate level, Minister of Finance, World Bank MD. She's very well qualified for the position. And I think it's in the best interest of Nigeria that she wins. I think she's a good candidate. She doesn't embarrass anybody.
Let's before we let you go, let's look at the new normal in terms of people who want to, galvanize action towards different concepts in terms of reforming, and of course, as a politician, reaching people or trying to sell an idea. Now, issues of rallies are no longer the in thing. Which other ways, especially for people in the rural areas, are you trying to employ to make sure that people get into a buy into the new thinking?
Well, in each particular area, and that is why in any organization that is national, you have a structure. So it's not what works in Ekiti that may work in Katsina. So what happens is that when you have a national structure and you have the leadership of the units from those areas, they will develop the best means to communicate. But on a national scale, it has to be mass media, social media, on a national scale. But down to the unit level, the units have their standard community communications systems. And that's what you have to use.
All right, for the past about half an hour, we've been speaking with Chief Martin Onovo, a petroleum engineer, engineering, economics, and management consultant. He was presidential candidate of the National Conscience Party in 2015 and is currently the head policy positions movement for fundamental change. I want to thank you for coming on the program. Wish you the very best and making sure, we'll pray that some of your concepts will find expression in reality. Thank you for being a part of today's program on political updates. Of course, Nigerian Television Authority is always poised to give you the very best of news, reviews, previews, and interviews. My name is Fisayo Ogunfuyi. Thanking you for being a part of it. All the best. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye-bye now.